a bracket between AP Bren and a GEEK fam.
Personally, for me, going into this pick and bans, if I'm being serious here, Kadera is one of the players that I'm going to look at because I would say his performance the other day was a bit shaky, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think honestly, AP Bren comes into this game not trying to show too many clutch picks. I mean, it's definitely possible that they pick something like the Odette, maybe the Gushin, the Julian. Few has a lot of these things in his hero pool. But I think going up against a team like GEEK, where I honestly feel like AP Bren is coming in, Ducky's coming in thinking they already kind of have an edge here. I don't think they're going to try to show too many cards. They still have a lot of tournament left, a lot of things to try to hold close to their chest.
I love the fact, too, when you talk about, say, a lot of this for these teams, you know, you see some of these priority heroes being banned out, also respect in a way, but ultimately this will leave a lot on the table, right, so far from what we've seen. I feel like also when you're considering these two teams itself, this is where you could possibly see some switch up in terms of what they want to draft, right? That's why we talked a little bit about the Odette before. The Faramis is going to be taken out. Valentina's less open. That's relatively a safe choice. Also the Bruno, right? So we'll see. Yep, there you go. Bruno's going to be snagged up right away from GEEK.
According to, I would say, how things have turned up, the matchup of Brody going up against the Bruno is not great. The winnable matchup is actually the Claude going up against the Bruno, where the Claude just survives. And then come late game, even though the Bruno has a lot of burst damage, the Claude can outmaneuver. So I'm really looking at Claude as the answer here coming in from AP Bren. They're going to pick up the Boxier first, as well as the Matilda.
Which I think is solid, right? It's a very solid, upfront, honest draft so far. But the Claude would definitely be a very solid third pick, and they don't have to pick that up front because the Bruno's already been picked. On the side of GEEK, though, do they want to lock in their jungler now before it gets too late?
Angela is open, so if Marky wants something tanky, perhaps like a Fredrin or a Martise, he could get it.
Definitely very true.
I mean, it depends on his hero pool, because again, we don't see too much of Marky.
Like combo that up with the Angela, correct?
This is the Emperor's order.
Is that a
Your team is
Akai? I think
that
that's an Akai.
was an Akai?
Yeah.
For a second, I thought I heard Barats.
Yeah, no, it's Akai.
Should be the kind of like our classic, right? Again, it's the Baksha already being shown from AP Bren, so why not go match it for the utility, right? Go that way. You also lock in the Valentino, like we mentioned earlier. Here we're going back to the matchup between Bruno and Brody, which, again, theoretically, the matchup there is a 50-50, but so far, like the actual matchup statistic is Bruno was at 80%. I don't think he is anymore. Probably closer to 70% against the Brody alone. So we'll see.
It's one of those things that we're talking based on the numbers. Like, we understand different players will pilot it in different ways, but you know, even though we talk about numbers as something imaginary, but it does give weight in this kind of matchup between Bruno as well as Brody.
So I really like the fact that GEEK, you know, picks up the Sakai, because I think Marky can do a great job on it. He showed that he's able to use these utilities well, and then they already have their damage locked in as well. They have the Valentina, they have the Bruno. So at this point, as long as you know, Chidera and a boy can actually, you know, use those heroes correctly and use the space provided from the Akai, they should be able to work around these neutral objectives pits very well.
Speaking of which, this is Marky's take. It's really hard to play jungler. Good thing my teammates are there to support me, and it's not just Kadera as well as a boy. Even looking at behind the scenes, their content there, where we see Niall giving tips and pointers to Marky about, okay, Marky, in the next game, this is what you got to do. Yeah. So I like that even though Niall is not playing, he's still giving the support to his teammates.
I think that's expected. You know, at this point, again, it is. Think about the situation, right? You're at this point of the tournament. Good thing the results showed for them previously. You know, Marky gets to this point where this is another chance for him to prove a point in a way, but still, you heard it from himself. Like, he's also thankful that his team really supports him. I think it really, if you broke that down to every single team, especially when the junglers, the reason why these junglers shine so much, even if you look at Onyx, man, for Kyrie, the reason why he's actually able to shine so much, aside from he's a mechanically gifted player, a lot of the times it's the support of his team right now.
One more point I want to say before we reanalyze the draft is that I appreciate that in this case, Marky is the veteran. Yeah. And then Niall is the rookie, and he's the one giving pointers, and then Marky is like, yeah, I'll take your pointers. So I like that. He's
open to it.
Yeah, he's open to it.
Yeah.
So right now, Geek Fam still need an EXP laner. We've seen Luke in the far past play the glue before. Now that we've seen it is possible, we saw it a little bit in some lower bracket matches. Is it something he wants to pick up when everything's... Edith is also still open. They go for the export.
It's been a minute
Since we've seen it.
Last time I see it was SFG game. Smooth use it. We lost.
How did that game... Oh.
We lost. But going up against the Baxia is going to be quite all right. Going up against the Dyrok, maybe not so much because the Dyrok can force you out of your Firaga armor. So in the early game, this export theoretically shouldn't be able to do much. And wrapping things up for APBR is going to pick up the Novaria.
Okay.
I like the Novaria. Puts Few kind of, sitting in the back in a safe position, able to get away from, if Xborg wants to try to get a big engage, get some sort of last insanity, Novaria should always be in a safe spot, and also possibly try to catch him when he's trying to get away after he loses the Fraga armor. So I think it's a solid pick. Novaria's done so great. Let's take a look at this team comparison though.
Yeah, lineup rating, 7 for Geek and then 4.9 for APBR. But again, we've seen how teams been able to play around with this kind of lineup rating here. But so far, face value, it does seem Geek favored.
Definitely Geek favorite. APBR though, holding that early game advantage, which is something I definitely like to look at. And if they can push that, kind of lead into some of those scaling heroes they also have, like the Novaria.
Going into the game, we have to see, can the solution solve the Bees flight pattern? This is going to be a game of macro. Welcome to the Land of Dawn.
I definitely like it. Let's see how things go now. APBR, like I said, they have a nice, some early game possibilities with Brody in their gold lane. The only thing that's kind of lacking, I feel like, is the Novaria. It's going to take a little bit of time for that to start to scale. But once it hits level 4, they have vision, and they can use that to make sure Kyle Teasy can rotate around and try to make these plays happen. On the side of Geek Fam, they have the Valentina, they have Beloyski. If Beloyski can get some buff resets here, we've seen how destroying that can be to some teams.
Oh, Beloyski, though, going to take quite a few hits here. Going to have to flicker out. Just trying to be a nuisance in this jungle. Oh boy, also gonna flicker. Flap Teasy there to respond. A couple hits. Few will line it up and gets first blood for APBR.
A mistake coming in from Geek Fam. Like, we can note that in the M5 World Championship, all these roamers are pressing the jungle, but now Marky's getting pressed.
Oh no. Now Marky's gonna get the pressure here. They're gonna look for another one. It's Kyle Teasy to grab the second kill now for APBR under the 2-minute mark.
That's going to become a problem. Few puts a kill in his pocket. Kyle Teasy puts a kill into his pocket. Now, Few being on this Novaria takes a little bit of time, but that just helps accelerate things. APBR already sitting at about 1,000K gold lead. Nothing too crazy in the items right now. Chidera does pick up the leg plates, able to maybe deal with any sort of immediate damage coming from the side of APBR.
Yeah, but Geek Fam, they got to be careful because they went a little bit too aggressive going up against APBR. But one thing that we have to note is that whole thing happened because Flap Teasy chose to rotate early. So I would say the Bees flight pattern here, especially coming in from Flap Teasy, was very effective going up against Geek Fam, resulting in 2 kills.
Yeah, once again, that's the communication here from APBR. Their synergy is off the walls in a lot of this and why they are where they are currently as champions. Now, the fight for the turtle going to break out. It is going to go ahead and reset. Still, APBR wants to go ahead and fight this on as they whittle down the health bars of Geek Fam. Still slowly but surely. We'll see if they still commit to it. Ogwin also putting down the poke. Now Few to follow. Beloyski to go in with the implosion. Heavy spin to zone them out a little bit more. Still fighting for the turtle. Marky able to secure it, but here comes APBR looking for a kill. They're going to find Beloyski and now looking for another. Luke will keep them at bay, but they get the flicker out from Luke.
I saw one thing that was very concerning that we forgot to talk about during the draft, and the anti-synergy here between Akai as well as Tigro. Both heroes want to do kind of the same thing, but differently enough that they might clash against each other.
Definitely a possibility. They're going to definitely have to worry about how they use their ultimates. There, I felt like it worked in a good way. He was able to catch them, and then Akai could push them away from the objective. So if they can do it like that every time, it can definitely be a plan. But one mess up in that could completely come back to bite you.
just by that, it makes it so that the Geek Fam lineup is more mechanically based. If they don't hit the chain CCs well, it might bite them.
Yeah, they have to play around that. That's kind of what we saw unfold. And really, anytime you have an Akai on your roster, right, that's kind of what you're expecting. How are you going to utilize that heavy spin? How are you going to either push people away, lock people down? Oh, Voloisky going to go in once again aggressively, looking for the implosion. Already going to be used. They find few this time. Heavy spin also the answer, but a boy gone now. Voloisky going to take a couple shots. Super Marco gets the stun. It's a double already. Once again, APBR biting back.
I don't know about you, Trex, but that did not feel worth it.
No, it's like, and then he gets the implosion, and you could see members of Geek Fam like trying to like walk to him very slowly because they were getting slowed down and stopped.
Okay, taking a couple shots once again. Torn apart memory. Not going to be enough though. So Jadera and Marky keeping it together here despite 3 members of APBR focusing there.
Yeah, I feel like Geek Fam are trying to force things a little bit too much right now. Even in the very beginning, they try to be extra aggressive in the very beginning. They messed up. I think after that, you kind of have to realize, okay, maybe we can't pull any of these crazy plays on APBR. Maybe it's time to slow things down a little bit.
Now Kyle Teasy going up to level 7. Marky is level 7. Ogwen as well as Super Marco. They're the ones zoning Geek Fam away, and I can't help but agree. It feels like Geek Fam, they're pressured to do something all around the map, but with that comes the question, what does Geek Fam have to do actually?
Honestly, they don't have to do that. They have a great late game composition. The X-Board becomes a super pain to have to kill. Once he gets the immortality in, he's great for team fights. He's great for absorbing damage. Same thing, they have the Brody, who has a wonderful mid game, was a wonderful late game, insane damage. Let's take a look at the hero counter though. Theoretical win rate for Bruno up against the Basha has the advantage, 52%. And the M5 win rate is 90% against the Basha. I don't know how skewed that is due to a few teams, but still, just that alone should kind of show some advantages, and that's exactly why Geek Fam doesn't have to rush this.
Oh, Voloisky again, going to be the focus. Certainly he already used. Takes a couple shots, but will be fine. But now on the bottom side, Marky going to be in trouble. Torn apart memory going to go in. They go in, crash in on Kajera. He tries to slide out, but will get taken out. Bottom side, once again, APBR finding a kill. Real quick item check here with that lead of almost 3K.
I mean, we take a look at the Brody, and he's already got the Blade of Hepates. It's almost a 1,000 gold lead already in the hands of Super Marco. Boy taking a little bit of damage there, though.
At this point, Geek Fam does have to match the macro play coming in from APBR, because I kind of feel like whatever Geek Fam wants to do, APBR will be there first, and then they will execute it well.
Well, they're going to try to go for Kyle Teasy. Few and Ogwen here to help him out. Circling Eagle going to be used as well. But ultimately, still going to be fine. Ogwen taking a couple shots, going to slide on through, will be fine once again. A lot of pressure still on Geek Fam here from APBR. And the thing about it is, if you're looking across the board here, they're hitting these power spikes very early on because the amount of gold they already have. Super Marco just picking up the Malefic Roar already. Third turtle, though, for the taking. That power spike is going to definitely show in this fight.
Yeah, at this point, I feel like Geek Fam should really trade to find ways to get more farm. Going for this turtle might not be the best idea.
Yeah, what they want to find, a conceal going to be used as well. Heavy spin, Chidera able to get the turtle some way, somehow, but can they stay alive from the fight? Ogwen circling around. No one going to fall, though. So Geek Fam able to at least get the objective.
I mean, like, hey, I said it's not worth it, but if they get out scot-free, then that's great.
Yeah.
Definitely a nice small win for them, something that can possibly pull them into a little bit of the later game. Luke going deathless right now is definitely a plus for them. I feel like once Geek Fam is able to group up a little bit more, right now they're still spread a little bit too thin. Once they can kind of bring these 5v5s, 4v4s, get involved like that, I think we could see better things from Geek Fam.
Fast rotation on the top side. Luke does have the immortality. Should be fine. Even taking a couple of shots here. Voloisky, though, going to be in trouble. Last Super Marco gets the kill with a torn apart memory. Still putting the pressure. This is exactly what we've been seeing. Geek Fam backs against the wall this early on. Still trying to fight it out. How do they respond to this pressure?
I mean, like, at that point, APBR, they even split the map. Flap Teasy was doing work in the bottom lane, so they won on all fronts. Like, I do agree with Trex. Geek Fam has to find a way to turtle up, farm safely. I mean, sure, you can get some trades around the turtles and such, but I feel like they shouldn't take too much risk. Have at least the Berserker Fury on the Bruno, and then maybe try to get some pickoffs.
Yeah, but the big wall in front of Geek Fam right now is that APBR has this beautiful mid-game spike composition. Not only that, but early game composition. And all the heroes who want those kills have them. Super Marco, 3-0-1 on the Brody. Flap TZ, 1-0-1 on the Dyroth. Definitely something that you want to see on those two heroes because they pack such a punch when they have that in their kit.
Right now, the good thing is Geek Fam, they're moving as a unit, making sure that no one is going to get caught. That's great. And again, I just want to see how they're going to protect Kadera. Because if Kadera has the Berserker Fury, theoretically, he should be able to trade well against APBR. Even though, yes, APBR does have that goal lead, as long as they stay very disciplined, trade cleverly, trade in a manner that's not risky, then it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And Kadera just got the Berserker Fury.
It might almost be worth even like giving up another tower if they have to, just to stay grouped up. You know, maybe even if they lose something bot lane, if the split push gets to them, it's not the end of the world as long as they don't take too many deaths.
Well, Lord, for the taking here for APBR, 5,000 gold nearly ahead. We'll see if Luke can still keep him at bay. They're going to go ahead and try to whittle this down. Again, working through the armor, working through that immortality. Geek Fam goes in, gets the position, and will reset the Lord here. So APBR still waiting for their own moment as Marky works on that purple. Went in the hands, though, of a boy here. So he's able to grab that from Marky. Once again, we go back to the Lord dance.
Yeah, right now, APBR looks like they're really trying to bait Geek Fam out. Luke now doesn't have the Viraga armor. Yeah, it's going to be trouble for him.
Flap, going to take the brunt of the damage. Will get out with the guiding wind, though. Kyle TZ also keeping that front line covered. Still respecting the fact that Geek Fam could possibly come out with a win in this skirmish, depending on Beloyski's positioning. Still, a boy also taking that guiding wind, will be able to use it. The circling yield on top of it. Now, still wants the fight. Breaking out for the Lord. Beloyski quite low here. Goes in, flickers himself, but he gets stunned and taken down. Heavy spin's gonna be used. Marky, though, grabs the Lord. Still the flickers come through. Oh boy, gonna be in trouble. Gets taken down under the turret. Kadera fighting back though. They have to respect the damage. Still Luke gonna take a shot. APBR, are they looking for more? Luke will get taken down by Ogwin as they make it work once again. APBR bites back, but they lose the Lord here.
I mean, I kind of feel like that's worth it, trading one Lord for the majority of the health of Geek Fam. Again, put them in a deficit and let them stay there.
Yeah, it's a huge win for APBR because they're going to have no problem shredding down that Lord, especially with the Lord having nobody behind it. They lose one tower, essentially, and they get Tier 2 on top side, 4 heroes, plus another couple K gold lead. At this point, every member on the side of APBR is heavily outscaling Geek Fam. Dyroth also getting a little bit of some defense here, working on the Rose Gold Meteor, going to help him survive and be okay even longer if he needs to be.
Well, they're going to go in once again. Implosion on the backside. Kyle TZ at the front. Beloyski just zoned out from the team. Super Marco adding another one to the board. APBR continues on.
2 more deaths. 2 more for Beloyski, and he should be activated.
So the 7 is the golden number.
7 is the golden number.
So these plays have been all part of the plan.
All these macro plays are meant to be.
All right.
Now looking at the mid lane, Marky taking quite a lot of damage.
Wow, Marky. I think he took more damage than expected as he gets taken down. Super Marco having a massive game already. Eye set now in the Tier 2 in the bottom side. Geek Fam having a really tough time looking for any angle.
And Few's been doing such a great job of Few almost always connects. And a lot of times, just like we saw in some of the previous games today, Geek Fam is coming in with, at least one of them always had half a bar health. Beloyski, last Lord fight, was so low when he had to use that implosion. I mean, it's just a problem and it's such an issue. I think at this point, Geek Fam, they definitely need to stop forcing fights. They've been doing it the whole game and they still continue to do it.
I mean, here's the thing. You kind of feel like it's a good idea because Marky has been hitting those retributions, right? He's been getting the turtles. He's been getting the lords. So it looks like they're successful, no? Because they go in and they get what they want. It's just that in terms of trading, it doesn't seem good because you get one lord, but you sacrifice 3 members. So I kind of feel like that's something that GFAM has to consider. They've been doing quite well in securing, just after that hasn't been looking good.
67k damage for Few already.
Big damn.
Doubling everybody on the map. And this is literally, we're just 13 and a half minutes in. We barely even started if this went the long.
Boloyski again going to go in with the Flicker Implosion, but taken out of the picture very quickly. Kader has to flicker out. Kyle Teasy trying to chase him down. Going to get cut off himself with a heavy spin, but will still survive. AP Bren, this is just proof. They're so far ahead right now. The shot comes down. Luke trying to get away, but Marky's got Flicker in. Super Marco goes in aggressively, cleans up the kill.
Super Marco, 7-0-5 right now. I mean, that's nothing crazy because everyone has 0 deaths on the side of AP Bren, but he is doing it right now.
Flap T's going to jump in as well. Super Marco in the front side goes in once again. Tornapart Memory not going to connect. They get the mid turret. Kyle Teasy the whole time working on the Lord. This will further the lead, nearly 10,000 ahead.
At this point, even Few, his Astral Meteor, the first kill, already hurt so much that GFAM can't handle it. I don't know, man. At this point, you really gotta hope that AP Bren makes a mistake because 11,000 gold lead. Here's the thing. Even defending is gonna be difficult because AP Bren outranges GeekFam. The Valentina against the Novaria has a clear advantage. Bruno going up against the Brody, sure, it's more or less equal, but when Super Marco is dealing this much damage against your front lines, it's not gonna be looking pretty.
Again, Few waiting on that angle there. Bottom side, firing off shot after shot. They're gonna have to make quick work of the Lord as they do. Super Marco working on the top side, mid, down, bottom, going down as well from Flap. Base is now gonna be fully exposed for Geek Fam. AP Bren knocking on the door. We'll wait for this next wave. Do they actually look to end it?
I mean, at this point, all that Few has to do is just drop them low enough to make it so that Ogo and Kyle Teasy, Flat Teasy, has the confidence to go in.
Yeah, I don't honestly, with AP Bren, all they have to do is keep up this pace, and I don't think there's anything that Geek Fam can do. Unless we're talking like super late game, like literally everyone's max items out, then Geek Fam can do it. But the way the composition that AP Bren has, there's no reason for them to let it last that long. They don't have to let it last that long. They could force fight after fight and regularly come out on top when they have a 12.4k gold lead. Even if they make a huge mistake right now, I think even if Boloyski got like a 4-man set right now, they would probably be okay.
As long as Few doesn't get caught, yeah, I don't know, man, because at this point, he legit, but before that, Ogo wants to go in.
Still going to be putting the pressure, as you were saying, LaFell.
What I'm saying is Few could legitimately, and this is not toxic, by the way, just rank up the damage numbers.
If you wanted to.
No, just make sure he keeps hitting those Astro recalls to the point that GeekFam can't even go out.
Yeah.
So it becomes a situation where Few just make sure that GeekFam stays at home. And then eventually, AP Bren could end the game.
Yeah, eventually, like, the Lord is going to be so strong. The
Exactly.
minions are going to be, tough as well to deal with, and that's kind of the forced situation. So Geek Fam, it's kind of like, what do we do from here when we're this far behind? Usually when we see games like this, 12 to 4, what's the most we've seen? 14,000, I think, a lead.
Yeah.
Previously, it is tough. So you have to look for an overzealous mistake. AP Brent going to be putting the pressure once again. Marky already used the heavy spin. Boloyski takes a couple shots. He's in trouble. Implosion goes in, slides on through. Still going to see surviving, though. Few not going to be able to get the shot. Has to flicker over the wall. Boloyski somehow survives the whole exchange.
Marky hanging out in that bush right there, able to stop that attack, from locking on to the whole bot lane. Definitely the saving grace right there. Boloyski as well. Beautiful mechanics, able to get out of that bad position. But now Lord is up, and AP Bren doesn't even mind that slight failed gank.
I gotta say as well, their hope right now is Luke. Luke having that War Axe can deal a lot of damage. So GeekFam should play for a slow team fight. Try to burn them down a little bit, and then eventually executing them. So it's really about outlasting AP Bren at this point. So with that being said, they gotta find ways to avoid fuse damage. If they can, and then Luke somehow is able to stack up that true damage, eventually something could happen.
Yeah. Not only that, but you're fallen back into what we were just talking about. Lord was secure. They had a little fight. They possibly could have gotten a kill there, but even so, they're so far behind, right? They have to continue to hope that things like that fall into place for them. Maybe another 5 to 8 minutes, but at this point, you got to deal with the Lord being pushed in. Ogwin has to get out of there. Kyle Tizia as well, quite low themselves. Lord now making it its way. Flap Tizia jumping to the backside. Luke has to use the last insanity.
Chidera.
Still battle out. Flap Tizia, his immortality down. Super Marco taking it out of the picture. The lockdown comes through as well. Lord's going to be dealt with. A boy goes in. Flap, though, they want to respond. They want to take him out, and they do. But it's a trade across the board. Geek Fam holds on a little longer.
Listen, I know a boy got that kill, but Chidera was just unloading. I think he's finally reached a point, and that's one of the good things about Bruno, is even if the rest of your team is doing bad, even if you're 10K behind, once you get that third item in or so, once you start really getting those items in, you hurt no matter who you're hitting. Those crits count.
Yeah, and our boy, after getting that Holy Crystal, holy bananas does he hurt.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that exchange, Geek Fam has room to breathe. Now they're like, okay, in terms of damage, we're keeping up. It gets to a point, right now it's like 51,000 gold for Geek Fam. So soon, the gold deficit doesn't mean much. The goal advantage is just going to be about swapping items. So Geek Fam is at a point, when it comes to the damage, they're competitive. So all they have to do is, again, make it a little bit prolonged and catch the front line of AP Brand making a mistake.
Yeah, they need about 6K more gold, right? And then it just doesn't matter anymore. Geek Fam, and I love what you said about them just dragging out these fights, and that's the great thing about the X-Borg, right? And now he's getting to a point as well. Look at his frog armor right now. He can take some shots, even from few right now. He could take a few of those and be okay, and he's going to be able to just soak those things up. And as long as they can do that, chip them down, you're completely right, LaFell. That is definitely going to be their win condition here.
Beloyski trying to find a way out on the backside. Going to get spotted out, though. Going to take a shot, circling Eagle on top of it. Kyle Tizia going to crash into him. Front apart memory going to be used, but Beloyski is still going to be up. They have to retreat from here. AP Bren knows he's low. Not going to land the shot. Luke, last insanity out on the defensive. So still, AP Bren showing that they're willing to fight, but Geek Fam as well. They want to still look for these angles despite that deficit.
I like that AP Bren, they don't mind who they find. If they find Beloyski, if they find Luke, they're going to dump all the damage onto them because they understand Kadera doesn't move in front if his frontliners aren't there. So, and to be fair, if he does do that, then yeah, AP Bren is going to capitalize on that mistake.
It's going to definitely be tough here, especially because they have to send Luke over. Oh,
wow, Flap taking quite a bit of damage himself. So half health here for this Lord. Marky also rocking the immortality. Should be able to get in position for it. That's what he wants to do. Wants to get there, but few laying down the Astral Echo. Going to spot them out. Still keeping them at bay. Ogwin also forcing Beloyski once again. Quite low. Gets taken out before he can get the setup. And now they're just going to go full force, clashing down on Geek Fam. They're going to battle it out, though. Last insanity, find a lockdown. Kadera's out, though. And now Ogwin focusing down, a boy cut off from the team, taken down. Luke trying to get back to base. He'll make it, but it's Luke and Marky against 4 members of AP Bren. The work down Flap, he's taken out. Ogwin and Kyle Tizia and Few whittling down Marky. No Lord was taken, so they still have the minions. And Geek Fam might have bought themselves some more time in the game.
I thought that was over. I legit thought it was over, but now Luke and Marky are defending their base very, very well. And again, Luke has the damage. He has the War Axe.
And he should be able to clear these waves just fine.
Waves still have to be worked on. Luke trying to keep them at bay, but it's going to be willed down by the Crystal. Not sure if they have enough here as AP Bren takes down the base and takes game 1.
AP Bren has been relentless in the first game, winning out against Geek Fam, where we saw they were not able to catch up with the flight patterns of the bees.
A very well-played game. AP Bren never giving Geek Fam a chance to breathe in a game that they wanted to try to prolong things. In a game that they needed to try to make those team fights last, AP Bren made them quick every time.
Again, despite that deficit that Geek Fam was working against, they showed fight, right? But until the very end there, I'm not even sure if Beloyski got to that magic number of 7.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It might have been just the 6, but still, what they were trying to do was force these fights, force these situations, even at a deficit, and then try to turn it around. But unfortunately, APBR knew how to punish them, and like you guys mentioned earlier, it didn't matter if it was Beloyski. If they spotted him out, they were going to try to go for that kill and just keep putting the pressure. That's something that APBR loves to do, and that's what they did here for Game 1.
I would say most of the analysis portion is going to be about the early game coming in from GEEK Fam, where they're taking trades that is not favorable to them.
Not only did they, I mean, they weren't even taking trades. They were just
Yeah, they were
losing
just losing,
things
yeah.
that was favorable to them. And I get it. They sent in, they tried to get that early game purple buff reset. Once that failed, they should have stopped.
Yeah, and now we're going to look at the MVP of the game. It's not us. It is Ogwen. He's going to make sure that no one from GEEK Fam steps forward. If he finds someone, he's chasing after them.
Deathless.
5-0-14. A lot of the team went deathless, though. But
Yeah.
Ogwen definitely, towards the end of there was a couple more kills happening. Ogwen, though, definitely playing very well, consistently keeping everyone at bay. 100% kill participation, literally involved in every fight.
This Matilda has been banned so many times throughout the tournament, and then, you know, when you see it kind of unfold here, you really see how strong of a pick this hero is. The mobility, the utility, even the healing capability, right? Even with the Flask of the Oasis really pulling its own weight throughout the course of this game.
We got to talk about the early game here because, again, it looks like GEEK Fam, they were trying to force out quite a little bit here. It started with that invade that really didn't go well.
Yeah, not then. I mean, GEEK is able to secure this first hurdle, but every time they get something like this, APBR punishes. They spend so much just trying to get one objective when maybe, like I think you said it early on, they could have maybe tried to farm elsewhere on the map. Maybe try to get some gold around the lanes and just let APBR have some of those turtles in the start of the game.
I feel like they should have a good understanding if like, if you want to let go of the turtle, if you want to let go of the Lord, meaning you don't want to secure it, how many kills, how many turrets, how many wave of minions would it be worth for you to not get that? Because so far, APBR, it does look like they will let go of the neutral objective, allowing GEEK Fam to use all their skills, all of their abilities to really secure the objective, but not going to be able to have anything whenever APBR goes in for the fight. So I kind of feel like that is a big difference where APBR allows GEEK Fam to use the heavy spin, to use the implosion, everything that they have in their arsenal to secure an objective, but not enough to save themselves from a fight.
Yeah, now, and they were always so good during these fights, APBR. We expected for Luke to be the one to kind of chip down APBR, but few chipped down GEEK Fam so well that once everyone was down to about half health, that's when they would make the strike. That's when Ogwen would kind of fly everybody in, and then it's just GG's from there.
Again, with the Novaria, you know, this is something also a story that we see unfold time and time again. And the damage potential from this hero alone, the vision it provides for this, the way you're able to maneuver around that. And I think that's why the interaction between Novaria and having a Matilda works so well, right? You can use it either to be aggressive or play a little more defensive and just profit from there. Once again, even Super Marco able to just pump out the damage here, paired up with the Dynroth. There's a lot of these interactions that work great. And even if you look on the flip side, GEEK Fam had the same idea with some of the hero combinations here, right? But again, Beloyski, he was so low health by the time he tried to go in with a play that it just didn't work out. He was taken out before the implosion even finished sometimes.
He got to 7 kills a little too late.
Yeah,
way
7
too
deaths.
late. 7 deaths. 7
Yeah.
deaths, way too late.
I feel like GEEK Fam also have to have a more simpler draft because I feel like they have a lot to micromanage, having the Tigreal as well as the Akai in the very same team.
Yep.
Not saying that it couldn't work, you know, like if you're good enough, anything can work,
Yeah.
right? But it does make it so that, okay, you have to do yours first and then I go in, or I go in first and then you follow up. A lot of conversation like that is going on. So unless they've specifically practiced this lineup for a very long time, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, like, theoretically, let Beloyski catch people first with the implosion. After the CC ends, then Marquis goes in and then lock them in place. And during that time period, Luke can basically kill everyone, even without Kadera there. So there is a merit to this draft. But again, I kind of feel like a lot of things have to line up well. Maybe against AP Brand, you want to focus on the macro, so find a lineup that doesn't have to micromanage too many things.
Yeah, and AP, that was exactly what AP Brent's pretty much. Everybody had their own job, and as long as they performed that job, things worked well. Now, coming into Game 2, Geek Fam definitely going to need to change something there.
You know, when you talk about changing things from game to game, again, when you're looking at this draft for Geek Fam, it was a pretty good draft. I mean, even when you look at the breakdown before we loaded up into the game, if I remember right, they had the higher, the higher rating there. But ultimately, I think it was, if you have a similar draft, even, you don't go so risky. Like you mentioned this, Trax, right? You find out that, okay, our initial pressure in the jungle didn't work. All right, well, let's step back and try to, work back from that deficit now. Because then, mistake like that, mistake after mistake,